A marathon debate is currently underway in the Lok Sabha on the Waqf Amendment Bill. The Modi government has renamed the bill the Umeed Bill, meaning hope, and is calling this a reform that will bring transparency and better management in the Waqf Board. Home Minister Amit Shah intervened during the debate a short while ago. Listen in.
ये पूरा झगड़ा जो चल रहा है, आपने नॉन हिंदू को रख दिया और नॉन मुस्लिम को रख दिया, गैर मुस्लिम को रखा। वो झगड़ा वक्फ में दखल करने का है। पहले तो वक्फ में कोई गैर इस्लामिक सदस्य आएगा ही नहीं, ये स्पष्टता समझ लीजिए। ना मुतवल्ली गैर इस्लामिक होगा, ना वाकिफ गैर इस्लामी होगा। मान्यवर, वहां कोई प्रोविजन नहीं है। जो धार्मिक संस्थाओं का संचालन करते हैं उसमें कोई गैर मुस्लिम व्यक्ति रखने का प्रावधान किया भी नहीं है, हम करना भी नहीं चाहते हैं मान्यवर। इसलिए जो बड़े बड़े भाषण करते हैं कि समानता का अधिकार चला गया, दो धर्मों के बीच में समानता नहीं रही, मुसलमानों के धार्मिक अधिकारों के बीच में दखल खड़ी हो जाएगी, कुछ नहीं होने वाला मान्यवर। इस दृष्टि से देखें तो 1995 तक वक्फ की काउंसिल और वक्फ बोर्ड था ही नहीं, वो तो 95 से आया। और मान्यवर, ये जो भ्रम खड़ा किया जाता है कि ये एक मुस्लिम भाइयों के धार्मिक क्रियाकलापों के अंदर, उनके दान की हुई संपत्ति के अंदर दखल करने का है, ये बहुत बड़ी भ्रांति फैलाकर माइनॉरिटी को डराकर अपनी वोट बैंक खड़ी करने के लिए किया जा रहा है। वक्फ शब्द ही इस्लाम से आया है, इसलिए हम कह रहे हैं कि वक्फ वो ही कर सकता है जो इस्लाम का अनुयायी हो। अब आप उसका विरोध कर रहे हो तो आप तो वक्फ में भी नॉन इस्लामिक आदमी चाहते हो। मान्यवर, क्या कह रहे हैं? हम इसलिए कह रहे हैं कि वक्फ वो ही कर सकता है जो प्रैक्टिसिंग इस्लाम को प्रैक्टिस करता होगा, क्योंकि मान्यवर इसकी उत्पत्ति ही इस्लाम के सिद्धांतों से हुई है। आपके माध्यम से, इस सदन के माध्यम से देश भर के मुसलमान भाइयों बहनों को कहना चाहता हूं, आपके वक्फ में एक भी नॉन मुस्लिम नहीं आएगा। ये एक्ट में ऐसा कोई प्रावधान नहीं। वक्फ बोर्ड और वक्फ परिषद, इसका कोई ऑर्डर हम ऐसा नहीं लिख रहे हैं कि कोर्ट में नहीं जा सकते। आपने तो कर दिया था कि एक ऑर्डर को कोई कोर्ट में चैलेंज ही नहीं कर सकता। पूरा संविधान वहां समाप्त कर दिया मान्यवर। और मान्यवर, हम तो इसको कहते हैं कि कोई भी चैलेंज कर सकता है कायदे की अदालत में। इस देश में संविधान का राज है, ग्रीवेंसेस जिसका भी हो कोर्ट में जा सकता है। 2013 में जिसकी भूमि हड़पी, इसके ग्रीवेंसेस को भी कोर्ट के फोरम से बाहर करने का पाप एक कांग्रेस पार्टी ने किया। मान्यवर, एक अफवाह और फैला रहे, रिट्रोस्पेक्टिव इफेक्ट से आ रहा है। मैं स्पष्ट कर देना चाहता हूं, इस सदन में बोलने के वक्त जिम्मेदारी के साथ बोलना चाहिए। अगर ये कानून का पहला पेज और तीसरी तक धाराएं भी पड़ी होती तो इसमें स्पष्ट लिखा है, ये कानून का अमल जिस दिन पारित होने के बाद भारत सरकार नोटिफिकेशन बाहर निकालेगी उस दिन के बाद होगा। मतलब रिट्रोस्पेक्टिव इफेक्ट नहीं है, मगर मुस्लिम भाइयों को डराया जा रहा है कि रिट्रोस्पेक्टिव इफेक्ट से आएगा। मान्यवर, कहां पर गैर मुस्लिम सदस्य रखे जाएंगे? परिषद में और वक्फ बोर्ड में। उसका काम क्या है? उनका काम धार्मिक क्रियाकलापों को कुछ चलाने का नहीं है। वो शुद्ध रूप से वक्फ का जो कानून, दान के लिए किसी ने दी हुई संपत्ति, उसका एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन अच्छे से चल रहा है नहीं चल रहा है, कानून के हिसाब से चल रहा है नहीं चल रहा है, या तो दान जिस चीज के लिए दिया गया, इस्लाम धर्म के लिए दिया गया, गरीबों के भोजन के लिए दिया गया, गरीबों के उद्धार के लिए, वो उद्देश्य के लिए इसका उपयोग हो रहा है नहीं हो रहा है, इसका नियमन करने का काम है माननीय।
The Waqf Amendment Bill has become a big NDA versus India bloc flashpoint. Through the day, ministers, BJP MPs and the opposition locked horns. Here are key highlights from the day's Waqf debate.
ये कहते हैं कि हमारा देश में लैंड बैंक जो है वक्फ बोर्ड के पास थर्ड लार्जेस्ट है। पहला रेलवे, इंडियन रेलवे, फिर इंडियन आर्मी मतलब इंडियन डिफेंस का, और फिर कहता है वक्फ बोर्ड के पास जमीन है। मैं उसको सुधारना चाहता हूँ। सर, आप भी तो ट्रेन में चलते हैं, हम लोग भी ट्रेन में चलते हैं। हजारों किलोमीटर ट्रेन का पटरी लगा हुआ है, स्टेशन बना हुआ है। वो ट्रेन का पटरी लगा हुआ है, वो रेलवे का प्रॉपर्टी थोड़ी है, ये तो देश का प्रॉपर्टी है। वक्फ प्रॉपर्टी प्राइवेट प्रॉपर्टी होता है सर। तो इसलिए दुनिया में सबसे ज्यादा वक्फ प्रॉपर्टी हिंदुस्तान में है। सिर्फ हमारा देश में ही नहीं, दुनिया का सबसे बड़ा और सबसे ज्यादा वक्फ प्रॉपर्टी हिंदुस्तान में है। तो फिर ये क्यों है 60 साल तक आप सरकार में रहे हैं, हमारे देश में मुसलमान इतना गरीब क्यों है? जब दुनिया का सबसे ज्यादा वक्फ प्रॉपर्टी हमारा देश में है, तो हमारा गरीब मुसलमानों का पढ़ाई के लिए, मेडिकल ट्रीटमेंट के लिए, स्किलिंग के लिए, इनकम जनरेशन के लिए क्यों काम नहीं हुआ आज तक बताइए? ये दुनिया का सबसे बड़ा वक्फ प्रॉपर्टी अगर हिंदुस्तान में है, तो उस प्रॉपर्टी से गरीबों का उत्थान के लिए, लोगों का भला के लिए अगर ये सरकार नरेंद्र मोदी जी के नेतृत्व में गरीब मुसलमानों के लिए काम कर रहा है, तो इसमें आपत्ति क्यों होना चाहिए? आप लोग बताइए।
Section 107 on and from the commencement of the Waqf Amendment Act 2025, the Limitation Act 1963 shall apply to any proceedings. सर, इससे पहले आप जितने बार भी आप इतिहास में जाए, हर बार, क्योंकि ये वक्फ, ये जो प्रक्रिया है, जब से हमारे देश में इस्लाम आया तब से ये प्रक्रिया चल रही है। बहुत से ऐसे कब्रिस्तान हैं जहां पे कोई पेपर्स नहीं है, कागज नहीं है, लेकिन जजमेंट है, जजमेंट इनके पक्ष में है। और आज बार बार हमने कहा है कि लिमिटेशन एक्ट इसको बढ़ाया जाए, क्योंकि ये प्रैक्टिकल एक समस्या है। लेकिन आज ये नहीं चाहते। क्यों? क्योंकि ये चाहते हैं कि अलग अलग देश के अलग अलग कोने में यहां केस लगे, वहां केस लगे, यहां केस लगे। तो जो भी हमारे यहां पे एक भाईचारा का एक वातावरण है, उस भाईचारे के वातावरण को ये तोड़ना चाहते हैं। ये इनकी राजनीतिक उद्देश्य है।
आप इस बिल का विरोध करते हैं तो क्यों करते हैं? इसका जवाब नहीं दे रहे। और मैं चाहूंगा सब लोग मेरी बात पर जवाब दें कि आपको इस बिल से क्या परेशानी है। नंबर 2, क्या आप चाहते हैं कि वक्फ की प्रॉपर्टी हड़पने, लूटने, दलाली, बिचौलियों के बीच में रहे, या गरीबों के लिए काम में आए, पसमंदा मुसलमानों के लिए काम में आए, बेटियों के लिए काम में आए? ये उसके लिए रास्ता खोलता है। और सर, तीसरी बात, इस बिल में बड़े बड़े नामी गिरामी मेंबरान पार्लियामेंट, जूरिस्ट, रिटायर्ड जजेस, महिलाएं, सिविल सोसाइटी सब आके देखने वाली है। तो आपको शर्मिंदगी किस बात की है? सर, एक बात मैं विनम्रता से कहूं, परेशानी किस बात की है? मैनेजर साहब के ऊपर कंट्रोल नहीं होना चाहिए, मुतवल्ली के ऊपर कंट्रोल नहीं होना चाहिए।
भाजपा का लक्ष्य वक्फ की जमीनों पर है। इन जमीनों का नियंत्रण अपने हाथ में लेकर इन जमीनों को पिछले दरवाजे से अपने लोगों के हाथों में दे देना चाहती है। भाजपा चाहती है कि वक्फ बिल लाने से मुस्लिम समुदाय को लगे कि उन पर हक को मारा जा रहा है, वो उद्वेलित हों और भाजपा को ध्रुवीकरण की राजनीति करने का मौका मिल सके। क्योंकि अध्यक्ष महोदय, भाजपा का लक्ष्य यह है कि ध्रुवीकरण हो, क्योंकि वो जानते हैं कि ध्रुवीकरण जितना होगा उससे वो लाभ उठाने में आगे रहेंगे। तो ये वक्फ बिल जो लाया जा रहा है, वो अपनी वोट बैंक को संभालने के लिए और समाज को बांट करके, ध्रुवीकरण राजनीतिक लाभ लेने के लिए लाया जा रहा है। और अगर इसके लिए नहीं लाया होता तो पहले से जो जितने फैसले लिए सरकार ने, क्या उससे देश और प्रदेश में कोई बड़ा बदलाव आ गया है?
You know, before we dive into our political debate tonight, it's important to spend a moment talking about the changes being proposed in the new Waqf Amendment Bill. and how the new act will be different from the previous one. Take a look at this report.
ये कानून प्रोस्पेक्टिव है, रेट्रोस्पेक्टिव नहीं है। ये आप लोग बहुत क्लियर से सुन लीजिए, ये किसी का जमीन छीनने का कानून नहीं है। ये किसी का राइट, किसी का हनन करके उसका प्रॉपर्टी को हड़पने का नहीं है।
Amid uproar from the opposition, Minority Affairs Minister Kiran Rijiju tabled the Waqf Bill in Parliament on Wednesday. Renamed Unified Waqf Management, Empowerment, Efficiency and Development Act 1995 or Umeed, the Modi government says the bill is for transparency and curbing corruption within Waqf Boards.
अभी भी देर नहीं हुआ, कह रहा कि वक्त पे यूजर हटाने का बाद अब सरकार जो है मस्जिदें छीन लेंगे, दरगाह छीन लेंगे, मुसलमानों का प्रॉपर्टी छीन लेंगे, ऐसे बोलते हुए मैंने सुना है। सिटीजनशिप अमेंडमेंट बिल जब लाया गया था, वही लोग हैं जिन्होंने कहा था कि सिटीजनशिप अमेंडमेंट बिल पास होकर एक्ट बन जाएगा तो मुसलमानों का हक छिन जाएगा, उनका नागरिकता खत्म हो जाएगा। आज सीए लागू हो गया, बताइए किसी मुसलमान का अधिकार छीना है? किसी मुसलमान का नागरिकता छीना है? बताइए, क्या आप माफी मांगेंगे?
Under the new bill, government properties that were identified as Waqf will be reviewed. District collectors will now be empowered to conduct surveys as per state revenue laws. The Central Waqf Council will now require at least 2 members to be non-Muslims. It also provides for Bohra and Aga Khani Waqf Boards. And appeals against tribunal orders will be allowed in High Court. Central government will be empowered to make rules on Waqf registration, accounts and audits.
कहां पर गैर मुस्लिम सदस्य रखे जाएंगे? परिषद में और वक्फ बोर्ड में। उसका काम क्या है? उनका काम धार्मिक क्रियाकलापों को कुछ चलाने का नहीं है। वो शुद्ध रूप से वक्फ का जो कानून, दान के लिए किसी ने दी हुई संपत्ति, उसका एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन अच्छे से चल रहा है, नहीं चल रहा है, कानून के हिसाब से चल रहा है, नहीं चल रहा है, या तो दान जिस चीज के लिए दिया गया वो उद्देश्य के लिए इसका उपयोग हो रहा है, नहीं हो रहा है, इसका नियमन करने का काम है।
Prominent Muslim bodies have expressed their opposition to the bill.
पूरी ताकत से रिजेक्ट करते हैं। जिस एटीट्यूड के साथ, जिस रवैये के साथ, जिस इरादे के साथ इसको पेश कर रहे हैं, वो मुसलमानों का मामला मुसलमानों के खिलाफ, ये टोटली अनएक्सेप्टेबल है। हम इसको रिजेक्ट करते हैं, लड़ाई जारी रहेगी।
जेपीसी महज एक फरेब है और एक
And I want to go across live to Asaduddin Owaisi, the MP from Hyderabad of the AIMIM. He's speaking in Parliament live at this
Brahmin
moment.
community, the Prasad in Tirupati Devasthanam. No, sir, let me. Let me complete. Let me complete. You know very well that the Prasad in TTD is only made by Brahmins, not even for a particular sect. And 2013, Mr. Rajnath Singh, does he disagrees with what Advani and Sushma Swaraj did by supporting the 2000 Bill Act? You are opposing your own leadership. You are making a fun of yourself over here.
No, one second. Tol Disha Walwanji. Tol Disha Walwanji.
மாண்புமிகு அவைத் தலைவருக்கு வணக்கம்.
இந்த
வக்ஃப் திருத்த சட்ட மசோதாவை முற்றாக நான் எதிர்க்கிறேன். இது இஸ்லாமியர்களுக்கு மட்டுமல்ல, ஒட்டுமொத்த தேசத்திற்கே எதிரானது, தேச ஒற்றுமைக்கும் ஒருமைப்பாட்டுக்கும் எதிரானது.
Okay, so here's the nub of the debate that we saw in Parliament. The government saying the opposition built the spectre of what all can go wrong when they brought the Citizenship Amendment Act, when they brought the Triple Tilak Act, and most of that turned out to be unwarranted fear-mongering. They're saying they're doing the same thing with the Waqf Act. The fact is that in several parts of the country, the Waqf has acted like a land mafia, usurping land which didn't belong to it, and there's been a pushback from within. And the Home Minister read out what Lalu Prasad Yadav said when they were bringing the amendment in 2013, saying that there is a need to ensure that there's a proper structure around how Waqf properties are managed. But the counter to that is what you just heard from Asaduddin Owaisi, saying that in Tirupati, the laddus are also made by Brahmins of a certain kind. So why then open up the Waqf board to have non-Muslims there? So that's the back and forth taking place. And to try and make sense of this, I'm joined on this broadcast representing the ruling Bharatiya Janata Party by Syed Zafar Islam. For an opposition perspective, I have Ghanshyam Tiwari, and there are two parties which are very crucial in these deliberations. One of them was the TDP, represented on the show by Patabi Ram Komareddy, and I have Satya Prakash Mishra from the Janata Dal United. Let me put my first question to Zafar Islam. You heard what Asad Owaisi said, that, and it is a fact that in temples, in certain temples, there's strong regimentation around, who can be a priest, who can be involved in cooking activities, who can make the laddus, who can't, and which is based on religion. It's also based on caste. So his argument is, if you aren't changing that, why then have non-Muslims adjudicating on matters of the Waqf board? Respond to that, Zafar Islam.
See, the Honorable Home Minister, I'm sure that you have heard it and the people of India have heard it, the Honorable Home Minister, he clarified, for the functioning of Waqf, the only people who will be from the Muslim community who will be responsible for that. For instance, Waqif, Mutawallis, they'll be from the Muslim community. But for the administrative purposes, like for the board, which actually oversee the activities, administrative activities of the proper Waqf, needs to be managed by competent people. There could be from the Muslim community, that they could be from other community, because administrative work can be done by many other people.
No, but respond to what you heard from Maulana Mahmood Madni of the Deoband. He's saying you are forcing something on a community. It's the manner in which this is being thrust on the minority community, which is what is leading to this blowback.
No, actually, I think everyone, including Mahmood Madani Sahab, need to respond to the question which is being posed by the Muslim community, especially the marginalized section of the section within the Muslim community, that what we had done for the last 70 years, these properties were with us. It is being managed by the Muslims without any interference by anybody. Yet, the result is zero. We have a property or the assets worth 9 lakh crore. You have just shown something where 8,72,000 crore worth of assets the Waqf owns. And what is the productivity of that? How much it is generating revenue? And it is merely 1,163 crore. Is this the right kind of return which is being generated? Because it is mismanaged. For efficient manage, you need to have experts, you need to have a competent board, you need to have representation from across the people, across this section of the society, so that this money can be efficiently managed for the betterment and welfare of the Muslim community, not only...
Let me put a couple of questions to Ghanshyam Tiwari. I'm coming back to you in a moment. The fact is, Ghanshyam Tiwari, and I want to build on what the Home Minister said, that you, others from the opposition said all kinds of things about what would happen when the Citizenship Amendment Act was brought in, when the Triple Talaq Bill was brought in. And the fact is, on balance, these have not turned out to be problematic. So we're seeing again from the opposition the same kind of fear-mongering, this time around the Waqf board. The fact is, you come from Uttar Pradesh, in different cities and towns and villages of India, there are some Waqf boards that act like the land mafia. This cannot be contested by any sane person. The fact that the government is trying to reform it has been welcomed by the likes of Lalu Yadav when they were trying to do the same thing in 2013.
Good evening, Rahul, to you, my fellow co-panelists and the viewers. Three things. One, the Home Minister, and now you repeated it, called out opposition on fear-mongering. On 26 September 2018, as BJP President, Mr. Amit Shah said, "Real or fake, we can make any message go viral." I quote from the newspapers. Here is a Home Minister who's addressing his own party, boasted on how they can make any message go viral, real or fake. So that's one. Second is talking about fear-mongering. Can anybody here name one person in any legislature authority across India who's Muslim who has spoken from BJP on Waqf board? Why? Because this is a party of batenge to katenge. This is a party of 80-20.
No, but you aren't, Ghanshyam Tiwari, I don't like these tactics. You aren't answering my question. I'm asking you a straight question. You're a well-informed person. Respond to the question that you're being asked, and I'll phrase it again. No, Ghanshyam Tiwari. Sir, but you need to answer my question. You're going off on a tangent.
Sir, because you out your frustration, if you are going to lay out
I am not laying out any frustration. I'll ask you a question. No, sir, I will ask you a question and I expect you to respond to the question. It's almost as if my question has nothing to do with your answer. That's not fair. My question is, the opposition created a spectre of fear around the Citizenship Amendment Act and around triple talaq. What happened to that? Respond to what we've seen in reality over the last few years.
I am not here to honor your frustration. Please allow me. I spoke 1.5 sentences, you interrupted. Please allow me 3 sentences at least. 1. You spoke about fear-mongering. You connected it to triple talaq. Akhilesh Yadav ji, our national president, said that, you know what number of things were said? The Prime Minister stood and said on CAA that hum kapdon se pehchan sakte hain kaun protest kar raha hai. The Prime Minister, Akhilesh Yadav ji mentioned how the Prime Minister spoke about demonetization. So 1, Amit Shah ji has a legend on fear-mongering. 2, the Prime Minister spoke about CAA and RC and the entire thing was watered down after Prime Minister's rally. 3, that not one legislator from BJP who's Muslim has spoken on it. 4, the BJP spokesperson talks about productivity. This is donated in the name of God. How are you linking it to productivity? There is a clear message that Akhilesh Yadav ji has given that BJP, after failing on every major things that India needs to do, Donald Trump is talking about liberalization in tariffs.
No, again, I'm not I debated Donald Trump yesterday. I'll debate Donald Trump tomorrow. Ghanshyam Tiwari, this is not fair. For the 3rd time, let me ask you the question that I actually want you to respond to, because you're saying all kinds of things which are not linked to my question. My question is, look at what actually happened post the Triple Talaq Act and post CAA and tell me how many people suffered in the way that you said that they would.
Okay. Now here's the answer to it. Let's first of all, Triple Talaq Act came after the Supreme Court's verdict. I will not use BJP's story or version of this entire matter. Second, with respect to CAA, Mr. Amit Shah said CAA aayega, uske baad NRC aayega. We just looked at what happened in Bangladesh. Do you have the numbers of how many people sought CAA? The entire nation was kept busy on a narration of Amit Shah and Narendra Modi, which was eventually watered down by Narendra Modi. And not even you can refute this, because this is fact. It was Narendra Modi, the Prime Minister of India, who said, "Hum kapdon se pehchan sakte hain," when people were protesting. So let us not use this massive platform to give in to the fear-mongering, the false narrative and propaganda of BJP. The reality is BJP is ramming down a bill without proper representation, without proper data. Not one member in this debate today will be able to put down the data that is associated, and it is a farce that BJP that is talking about productivity. And as far as land scams is concerned, you talked about land mafia. We looked at the land mafia
I hear what you're saying. Let me put that question to Satya Prakash Mishra of the Janata Dal United. The JDU has in the past to some extent leaned on support from the Muslim community during Bihar elections. The fact also is that a large section of the Muslim community has deep reservations about the way this bill is being brought, in the manner in which they think it's being foisted on them. Explain why the JDU has taken the position that it has, and why instead of pushing back, you've gone along with what the BJP wants on this.
Rahul, are you getting my voice?
मुझे आपकी आवाज आ रही है सर, प्लीज बताइए.
I couldn't get your complete question, but what I draw inferences from your lines, that why JDU pushed for this bill. Even there are, you said large number of people have, and Muslim community have reservation about that. I must assure you and everyone, the viewers especially, that JDU has worked in last 20 years for the betterment of the Muslim communities in Bihar. And especially after, providing justice to the writers and, affected from riot of 1989 of Bhagalpur. And Lalu Yadav sat on that file for 15 years. He even, conferred Sampradayikta Sohard award to the main accused of the 1989 Bhagalpur riot. Forget it. Now what JDU has done today, that it understands that this bill is providing a larger perspective and accountability to the Waqf property towards the poorest of the poor of Muslim community. It will really pave a way that the induction of the backward of the Muslim community will be in the Waqf Board. Vora community will be inside the Waqf Board. Aga Khani will be inside the Waqf Board. So Waqf Board shall not remain in the hands of few people of Muslim community. What, the Samajwadi Party, Congress Party and RJD has done in the past. But I praise Lalu Prasad Yadav first time in my life that when UPA was in power, Lalu Prasad Yadav ji has said, Patna mein प्राइम लोकेशन पर बड़ा बड़ा जमीन कब्जा लिया है और अपार्टमेंट बनवा दिया है हजूर वक्फ बोर्ड के प्रॉपर्टी पे. The celebrated secular leader of India, Lalu Prasad Yadav ji, who claims that Muslims are his supporters, have denounced such kind of thing and announced such kind of thing.
Let Ghanshyam Tiwari respond to this, because again, very shrewdly he avoided the question about Lalu Yadav. The fact is that Lalu Yadav wanted to do exactly what Prime Minister Modi and Home Minister Amit Shah and Kiran Rijiju are trying to do. And he spoke about the illegal occupation of Waqf land and the fact that in some places malls were being built, shopping complexes were being built, and all this on what was supposed to be Waqf land.
Two things, Rahul. First of all, you called my response shrewd. It's fact-based. Let it be. As far as illegal occupation of land, whether it is government land or any other land, BJP, look at the list of donors of BJP. Do they all do they have is legal lands? If you're talking about land disputes in different parts of the country, those land disputes is one thing. If you talk about land mafia, you just have to go to Uttar Pradesh. Not far away, Ayodhya. You've been to Ayodhya. Did you not read about the massive scam that erupted in Ayodhya after the temple was to be built? So please, I did not interrupt anybody. If land scam is the basis of Waqf Board bill, then land scams relate to railway land, land scams relate to, as Akhilesh Yadav ji mentioned, relate to the defense land scams relate to the Ram temple land, which was widely published in across the country. Land scams also relate to the land deals that happened during demonetization when BJP opened its.
Rahul, can I just come in for 10 seconds?
Okay. Yes, you will. Let him make his argument. I'll come back to you. But let Zafar Islam respond to what you're saying. This is a strong argument. Like you hear about Waqf scams, you hear about temple land grabs as well. Suddenly in the middle of a road, and every viewer who's watching this will identify, a temple comes up, oh, ye bada prachin Hanuman ji ka mandir hai, even if it came up just a few years ago. This is a reality, as the Waqf land scam is a reality. There's been illegal occupation of railway land as well, immense illegal occupation of defense land. There the argument is the government is not going hammer and tongs in the same way as you're going after Waqf property.
This is factually incorrect, Rahul. Government is doing everything possible whether to recover the government land. Likewise, it is a private ownership. It has nothing to do with the government land. So the work is, whatever work owns, it's a private property of the work, and it should be used for a particular purpose. The donor who have donated these assets of theirs is basically with a very clear instruction or with a very clear purpose. Purpose was that whatever it generates, revenue or the income it generates, these assets should be used for the upliftment of the Muslim community. But if you do a back testing of last 70 years, you will realize that it has not been, nothing has been done to ensure that it generates revenues, income, and it should be used efficiently for the welfare of the Muslim community. Particularly, I'm talking about the poorer section of the Muslim community. And now, 70 years, what people have not done nothing, are speaking about the Waqf bill and criticizing about it, and they are standing against speaking against this Waqf bill. The fact is that this Waqf bill was important. This reform was important, and it is only the Muslim community understand, barring few vocal people who are vocal and they are known faces. That's why the media is giving attention. But if you ask a very common man on the street who comes from the Muslim community, he will be extremely happy because he knows that he was never a beneficiary. Who is the beneficiary? It is the Mutawalli, it is the people from the community.
No, but Patabi Ram Kumar Reddy, please respond to the charge that this is being thrust down the minority community, and the TDP has in the past tried to woo the minority community and get them to vote. And now the charge against your party is that you've gone with the political flow, done what the BJP wanted, rather than to stand up and protect a key part of your vote bank from the past.
Rahul, good evening to you and to my fellow panelists. See, it is, I would like to remind that it is the Telugudesam party which had put pressure on the government when this bill was introduced to send it to the Joint Parliament Committee. So we were the ones who had demanded that this bill be studied by a JPC, and the JPC was formed. And look at what JPC had done. 38 meetings were conducted. 95 lakh petitions were received. 25 consultations with 25 state Waqf boards were done. And the result of it is 25 amendments. Not one, Rahul, 25 amendments which were recommended by the Joint Parliament Committee were approved today. Out of these 25, 3 were recommended by the TDP. 3 important amendments. TDP insisted that all Waqf properties that are currently in use for religious or charitable purposes should be deemed valid, and it had been accepted. TDP had also suggested an amendment to strengthen the state power to resolve Waqf disputes. Original bill gave the district collectors the final say, but today it was amended that a designated officer appointed by the state be held responsible. This amendment was also accepted. And the third important amendment is the deadline. TDP had demanded an extended deadline beyond 6 months, and that also had been amended. So 3 key amendments which were proposed by our party had been accepted today, and 25 amendments by the JPC had been accepted. So it clearly indicates that TDP is for the welfare of the minorities and the Muslims especially. And also, Rahul, on the other side, if you look at some facts, you look at the income of the Waqf Board, 2017-18, the income of the Waqf Board was 146 crore, and today it had gone down to 10 crore in 24-25. So does the opposition has any answer to this? The Sachar Committee report in 2006 had clearly stated that the Waqf properties which are worth around 1.2 lakh crore should get a minimum of 12,000 crore. Where is 12,000 crore and where is 10 crore? Let the opposition
let Ghanshyam Tiwari respond to it. Look at that graphic on the screen right now. Income for Waqf properties. Given how substantially valuable those land banks are, income should be skyrocketing. It's got the worst possible downward trajectory. If this was a business, then they're running it terribly. Even if they're not running it for business, they're not being able to maintain their current revenue lines, forget alone building new revenue lines.
Rahul, if I just read the basic on PRS India, which guides legislation research, it says that Waqf properties could be used for maintaining mosques and graveyards. Your own graphic said 17% of Waqf property is graveyards. What kind of income and productivity is Zafar Islam and TDP talking about? This is an absolute illogical thing. I don't want to call it nonsense, but it borders on that. Second, it talks about establishing educational institutions and healthcare facilities. Third, it talks about providing financial aid to the poor and disabled. This is broadly the 3 purposes that PRS lays down. This is land given in the name of God.
No, but that is, you have to respond to what the Home Minister said. Ghanshyam Tiwari, the fact is that a lot of government land suddenly gets claimed as Waqf land, and he says, what's wrong in getting the district collector to do a proper supervision of whether this is government land or it's actually some individual's land to give? Nobody can give government land away, which is where the dispute starts.
The TDP spokesperson just said that they brought an amendment. By the way, in the JPC, we don't know of any amendments brought by the opposition because JPC was run in a certain way. But that aside, the TDP spokesperson said they brought in an amendment that the district magistrate should not have all the powers because even they are suspicious. Even they are suspicious of the motives of the government and how the DMs are being run as published by this government. So you cannot bring out a bill without voice of the people with the intent which is to instill fear amongst people without proper data and then come out and say that we want graveyards to provide productive income. What kind of logic is Zafar, who's a notable banker, giving on this? What kind of logic is TDP giving on this? What kind of income do you want out of
today? The Honorable Home Minister,
Mr. TDP spokesperson and Zafar Islam should talk about.
Today, the Honorable Home Minister Amit Shah ji had read out thousands of acres of Waqf property being given away as peanuts, which were given by the previous Congress government and the UPA government. Do you have any answer to that? Hundreds of acres of Waqf properties are being given away for peanuts. You don't have an answer to that in the Lok Sabha.
I have an answer.
Rahul.
I have an answer, Mr. Pataviramam. the BJP is in power in 18 states. They've been in power of the last 26 years. They've been in power of more than 50% of the time. Why can't they just put out data that here is the data of properties that have been illegally given? Because you don't believe in data. You are here to present a propaganda.
Amit Shah ji had read out
representation. Please, I don't interrupt. I did not interrupt you. Without data, without representation, without logic, you want propaganda to prevail, and that is what the average Indian is not ready for. That is what we called out, and then we want to question why are
Satya Prakash Mishra, the fact is, no, one second, sir, आप ही का alliance partner है, बोलने तो अभी election लड़ना है अपने साथ में. Satya Prakash Mishra, the fact is that, you know, there are occupations, illegal occupation of defense land, railway land, temple land in particular. Now, what is the crusade that this government has run against land which is public land, which suddenly becomes temple land, and a whole group of people come in and occupy that land? Now, shouldn't you be asking those questions as well?
Rahul, there is a established mechanism against the grabber of government land. Government can any time bring those land back to the government sector.
No, but they haven't done it. The point is that, so once again, here's the point. No, sir. Here's the point I'm making. In enough cities of India and towns and villages, suddenly some public land becomes temple land. I'm saying, where is the BJP government and your government at the center pushing back aggressively against that in the same fashion?
The district magistrate has law in his hand. He can act on his behalf. There is no need to government to intervene. There is established principles. No land can be grabbed by any, trust or any person for the purpose of any kind of creating temple. Second thing, what Ghanshyam Tiwari rightly said, that the Waqf property is given in the name of God. But Mr. Ghanshyam Tiwari, it is misused by the fraud. So there shall be mechanism to control it, to contain it, and bring back to accountability. The Waqf Board accountability has been established by bringing such an amendment. Why you are opposing? Because you are again indulging in a fear-mongering like you did during the CAA, you did during the triple talaq, and every time you want to intimidate Muslim community, let's see, BJP will grab your land. Let's see, BJP suddenly how it started loving you. The thing is that the Modi government is committed to sabka saath, sabka vikas, sabka prayas, sabka vishwas. Why don't you welcome such a step?
No, but that would be true, Zafar Islam, if you were acting against illegal temple land occupation in the same fashion. It cannot be contested, and every single person watching at this time will identify with what I am saying, that suddenly some public land, whether it's in the middle of the road or the corner of the road, becomes a new Prachin Mandir. The government's not going after, in pockets you may go after that, but in the sustained fashion in which we are going after the Waqf Board, you haven't done that with the temples.
Rahul, you are trying to say that, like an opposition leader, this is what you are trying to say, that the Waqf property...
I'm asking you a question, it's my job to ask you a question.
Let me respond to that question. Like I said, like the opposition leader is asking, same way you are proposing a question that these Waqf properties, which is being donated by a donor for the welfare of the Muslim community, which was misused by the Mutawallis or the people who have been empowered and given free run to manage these properties, but they can also sell these properties. The Honorable Home Minister given several examples. For instance, one example he gave is between 2002 to 2012, in 10 years, 2 lakh crore worth of properties have been given lease for 100 years for a bigger amount of money. Who had authorized them to do that? Is this an act of God, or following the principle of God? No. It is the greed which is actually making them do that. And this bill will check them not to perform this kind of activities or do fraud, this kind of fraud, because it is meant not for them. They are just a matawalli. It is meant for the poorer section of the Muslim community. And that is why this bill was warranted. This bill was important. The opposition has no leg to stand on, because they have never criticized the government, who had not done anything. Lalu Yadav had stated about it, but they were worked on it.
Let's listen in fact to that comment made by RJD Chief Lalu Yadav in 2013 when the amendment bill was brought in its initial avatar. See what he's saying, and that's what's being quoted back to the opposition, that this is what you were saying when you were government, and you were agreeing with exactly what we're trying to do.
देखिए, कानून बनाना चाहिए बहुत कड़ा। सारी ज़मीनें हड़प ली गई है, चाहे सरकारी हो या गैर, उसमें जो काम करने वाले लोग हैं सब बेच दिया है। प्राइम लैंड, ऐसा नहीं है कि कोई खेती वाली ज़मीन है। पटना के डाक बंगला पर जितनी प्रॉपर्टी थी, ये सब पर अपार्टमेंट बन गया, सब लोगों ने लूट लाट किया है।